Yeah, I didn't know this was expected to be heard at the main stage. Sorry for this. Another apology is it's not a TensorFlow session, like the app was suggesting throughout the whole day. So if you are disappointed and you are shy enough to walk away, I'm happy with it. You can walk away. But I strongly encourage you to stay. My session is about the product, the solution, and the reasons why you actually might want to walk into a data management. Yeah. Good luck, TensorFlow people. No problem. It's okay. It's okay. Fully understand. However, I will be talking about the device running TensorFlow streams, so might still be okay. All right. So it's only 30 minutes, so I'm not gonna put up too much of an introduction. There are several reasons why we are standing here, and because it's a developers conference, you might be wondering why the heck the data solution specialists are standing on this stage talking to you about it. Well, my biggest usual reason, if only my clicker was working, don't worry, is that we also have our own perception of big data. And big data means, like our video on the booth says, every second, each one of us, in the last 3 years, it has actually even grown. But we have been doing 1.7 megabytes of data every second. This is how much we are generating, not even touching our phones. Back in 1992, when I got my first PC, yes, I am that old, my hard drive was 40 megabytes. So it would last for 30 seconds of my life on that day. Now, whatever you folks do with algorithms, with coding, with software, whatever you have on your mind, there's data underneath. And this is the elephant. The elephant is always in the room. Whatever you have on mind using it doesn't really matter. It's the amount of data. If you already have an employer, and I'm not ironic here, how many students in the room? Wow, only one. Well done. Yeah, come over to the booth. I will reward you for being not shy enough over here. Cool. So your employer values you the most, values your work the most. But in the end, what brings money to the company or your customers is the data itself. And the value of data is what implicates the size of the investment. Even if you don't believe it now, if you even don't see it now, this is the way it goes in the world I have been in for the last 18 years. So this is business. So what's the reason here? I have chosen a particular reference to bring you some idea what we have created and why. Maybe this company sounds exotic, but you have exactly same company doing exactly same thing for their famous electric cars in Croatia. I won't line the name, but I used to talk to them business-wise, and they are using exactly the same stuff. So, anybody, how much data is this thing, the car, regardless whether it's an autonomous Volvo or it's a Formula One Bullet, how much data is such a car generating every hour during the testing track? So driving just along the way. 800 sensors on this car. How much data? Ten giga? Anybody else? It's 40 terabytes. One car, 1 hour. So imagine now how many pictures this translates to when this guy gets back to the dock. Thousands, dozens of thousands of pictures. The same applies to Formula One Bullet. We did exactly this because we are reference as pure storage for Mercedes-AMG, Petronas, Formula One team. When these guys go to competition, whatever number of sensors they use on testing has to be the same on the race. You cannot change the bullet over time. So the weight and the number of information matters for every competition. Now, imagine having 40 terabytes every hour from a single car, and you have multiple cars. In the AI-driven world, there are several stages of creating something useful from this information. So we have the pictures first. Now, you know exactly how many pictures of this number will be useless, like at least half. Blurred, not precise, not good scope. I have a friend doing photography, almost professional here, so he will tell you how much it matters to be very precise on the scope and the quality of your picture. So well, it's not us, it's data scientists who will tell you this. If you deal with AI, it doesn't really matter if you don't. It's about using the information for your software development. So we need to remove all this stuff, which is bad. Then upload it to the server, structure it, because all those pictures are just chaotic. Then put it on the DGX from Tesla, well, from NVIDIA, but using Tesla processors. I know it's a good surname for this area of the world. However, why DGX? Not x86 processors that we have in our laptops and our PCs? Because this thing has thousands of cores instead of having 30 cores, like on the regular CPU. So we can have a lot more interaction with this data compared to regular devices. And then once we have it explored, what's useful? We are modeling this. What modeling means? Creating a piece of software that can later be uploaded to the car we've seen on the previous picture and used for another test run. Learning what autonomous driving means. What do you think is the slowest element in this process? What would the data scientist tell you about the slowest element of this process? What? Uploading and downloading. So in our words, in our language, it means data transfer in terms of reads and writes. And trust me, believe it or not, starting from here right to the very end, it's the same data, but we are giving it quality. But every data scientist in the world would tell you waiting for storage was the biggest pain in the back. Took the longest time, not the processing stuff, the storage itself. Now, maybe some of you use this very famous Book of Faces application that you can post every stuff on the wall. They had exactly this issue. They didn't want that our live streams going on the wall include hostile information that's getting verified against unwanted content. And they came exactly to us saying, can you do the solution that will actually overcome this challenge? And this is what we have done. So forgive me now, 4 slides about the product and the solution coming out of it. Yeah, you know, in capitalism world, we're all selling. So this is me selling to you, and then you're gonna sell elsewhere or not. So we have created a thing called FlashBlade. The biggest advantage of this product is that it's unique and built from scratch. So we got the most talented engineers in the Silicon Valley who sat for 2 years and created this purpose solution for the Book of Faces. And they started using it. Whatever you guys post live in terms of a stream goes through that thing for data analysis. Remember the number of pictures? So we just partition the stream into those images that you can later tag or adjust, all those software stuff that you are clever about. And we use this thing to provide exactly this. Now, we learned later from our customers that it's not only about the Book of Faces, obviously. It's about all the stuff that you might recognize and you might be using daily these days for log analytics, for batching. LinkedIn created Kafka for batching and using all this stuff again on the wall, which is about professional Book of Faces, I would say. Batching your scripts in multiple instances, finding evidence, finding analysis, finding results. And all these things have exactly the same challenge. Again, writing and reading data in that regard. And this is what we have discovered that FlashBlade is also good for. Because having a parallelized system allows you to do at least two things. Having dozens of thousands of sessions simultaneously, which translates to the number of users that can use this device. And secondly, having the biggest data throughput. How do you think? Well, it might sound exotic. How does it translate to you? Well, every employer that you might have in the future, or whoever you might be doing B2B towards to later in the stage, will measure the time to market and the efficiency of your actions. Now, you can be as great in coding as you can imagine, and being constantly educated on the subject matter expert stuff. But if your data gets stuck, your coding skills will not help. It will just be waiting over tremendous latency above to produce the result of your code. I hope it makes sense, but this is basically the reason why we, as Pure Storage, are coming to developer conferences. We want to trespass this message towards you that it actually matters how you deal with data. It's not only the code. So the solution itself, why it's capable of doing what it's doing, it's multi-controller device. So in other words, you have multiple servers inside dealing with your data representation and data processing simultaneously at the same time, in other words. Now, having combined all the servers into a particular device basically allows you, through the load balancers in the backend, that everything that arrives through that backend, which is Ethernet based only, this speaks for itself in terms of protocols that we can use over here, gets processed by all these blades. So we have enlarged computing space, enlarged computing capacity to deal with whatever you submit for the device to process. Now, what is cloud? People would tell me AWS, Azure, Google, this is cloud. From our perspective, cloud is just somebody else's data center. And this is true. There's somebody else running gear that you have only software access to. But underneath, there's a lot of hardware doing the stuff for you. So from their perspective, this device is the optimization of your cloud cost. And this is the second message. The cost, the money. In the end, it's all about the money. I'm sorry. Whatever romantic it sounds, and I used to be a student as well, trust me. So I was really idealistic about what we're going to do in a later stage and how it actually works. But in the end, it's the people with money who make decisions about ourselves. So for them, it's also an optimization. And now, this sounds big and small at the same time, because with 1.7 megabytes per second per every person here in this room, we would fill this thing up in 2 days, probably. Maybe a bit longer. So it's not enough in our current world. That's why we have grown it into 100 bytes and 10 petabytes of data. If you divide 10 petabytes by 40 terabytes car per hour, now it speaks for itself. And this is what we are actually referencing already in Eastern Europe and not only in Europe. So we have customers doing exactly this. Billions and billions of objects over S3 or API stored on a single device, accessible from one point in time. And if we are talking software, now finally it gets more interesting. So hardware is gone, you survived, well done. And we are halfway through the presentation. So the biggest number of questions I had on the booth so far was about S3 compatibility. So this is our biggest communication profit over here. S3 as understood by AWS. So we are stacking it directly over here. What is the advantage of S3? Anybody using S3 in their coding schemas? It's heterogeneous, basically. So it's a simple standard that if you have a client on your host, you can basically make favor of unlimited number of objects, buckets, accounts, authorization methods, keys, etc. And we are agnostic over here. You just connect it over S3 and it just works without a limit for the objects. Secondly, because we are using Ethernet, something more proprietary like NFS, SMB is also over there. And the simplest thing under the sun on the planet, which is API, REST 2.2, and is the current version, with basically 5 commands that the standard API is using. The choice is yours. But the thing is, you can have all these things at the same time through secured multi-tenancy. Secured multi-tenancy means that we can have hundreds of isolated namespaces. This is where the fun starts. You can have multiple projects using all those applications that we mentioned at the beginning at the same device. And it will not make a difference because the number of objects and the throughput, the performance of this device is adequate to whatever you want to run on it. And I'll be coming back to my favorite reference, how powerful it actually turned out in terms of this particular use case. Secondly, these days we are in Eastern Europe. So we have EU regulations for RODO, GDPR, and all this stuff. We are certified towards all these standards internationally. So basically, whatever audit comes over to your company and ask for this kind of validation, you are ready. And this what the money holder up somewhere up in the company, let's say, will like, because they need to be compliant. Usually it costs additional amounts of investment, and here it's integrated. So we encrypt everything, and even if it's user-sensitive data, it's encrypted and unreadable should anybody remove the device, any drive from this device. So this is a very important element. And what is another thing that in business matters when data has value? The bigger value the data has, the more the company will spend on data protection. The challenge is it usually costs, again, additional investment. So over here, we have integrated multiple ways of protecting your data and allowing business continuity. Tomorrow on our workshop with Jacint, we will be talking about data and business continuity in the cloud with containers and running Kubernetes in a protective way regardless of the software stack. Here, this is physical and through the software stack, also virtual for your regard. Moving on, I know you folks are more interested in this right-hand side of the slide. So this modern stack of applications is definitely much more of your interest. However, companies are also less romantic in those terms, treating data backups and data storage in a very traditional manner. So we have all of this underlined over the device that we are offering here. I don't want to bore you to death. It's difficult conditions. It's already almost 5. The launch was a long time ago, so you're doing really well. Thanks for this. Now, Pure Storage at some point moved the whole R&D from California to Prague. Now we have 400 people in R&D facility in Prague, which are multinational. Absolutely. Everybody from all around the globe are working there. Why? Well, not only Eastern Europeans are very clever in coding, and we are. We win international competitions in every aspect of IT. But secondly, there's another element, which is again cost. We are much more affordable compared to Californians. That's why we have developed in Prague. And once we have done it, we have enabled Prague to develop a global dashboard running on AWS using AI algorithms from AWS for data analysis from the device I've been talking to you about. So from the overall solution for your software stack. The good thing for developers is it has API as well. So all this transformed data using AI algorithms is available for further usage for you as a developer, as a customer or service provider. Now, imagine all those students after Stanford, Harvard, whatever they are, or Karol University in Prague, walking in for an interview, asking for a job in software coding, what I'm going to be doing. Oh, you're going to be doing data storage. Oh, okay, thanks a lot. and cloud processing. Oh, this is interesting. We are also focused on clouds and these algorithms that this is what we want to deal with. So I've been talking to you about the hardware and it was about, not really interesting. But when it comes to that data analytics, this is where it gets interesting. So please don't walk out from here with the impression, oh, there was a guy trying to tell us something about the hardware. This is software-defined storage data management solution for data analytics. And this is what requires the features of this solution. However, it's all about the data again in this regard. So, final stage of modeling the hardware itself. So, the performance is key for HPC, for batching, for data streaming, etc. For all those live streams on the wall. Performance is absolutely key. How many users can do how much in the particular second of time? We are providing both two levels of performance over here. One, which is extremely performant, like I told you before, and this will do with HPC, AI processing, all these things that Zenuity or similar Croatian companies want to do. This is exactly what they require. And second one is our challenge towards spinning drives. Basically, this is what we used to call meteor, English, or whatever, whatever the right pronunciation is. This meteor was expected to kill the dinosaurs, which we consider to be spinning drives. It's 2023. We want to get rid of the spinning rubbish for good until 2026. That's why we have provided that, let's call it cold data flash for you, because we're doing only flash. So this thing is cost affordable, like everything you would run on spinning drives. And spinning drives are very cheap, but they break, they generate heat, and are ancient in construction. Flash isn't. Flash is the data layer of the future and standard for the data center today. We will be providing for this device and many others that we do 300 terabyte drive on flash by 2026. And this day we're doing 75 terabytes. So basically 2 hours of this car driving around can be stored in a single drive. Whereas, as you can imagine, a single unit of storage has multiple drives in it, not a single one. So all this 2 megabytes per second and growing number of data that we generate, we is actually getting facilitated by a single unit over here. That's why this dispersion has biggest sense. So to recap, again, in terms of a software, whatever grows in your mind, whatever conclusion you might have after this delivery, don't be shy to visit our booth and try to talk about a particular software stack that you might have on mind with us, because we have solution for that you don't yet realize that you need. And it will make a lot of difference towards running your application or software stack business for on it. Yeah. And I mentioned you the book of faces. What is important here again? The DGXs, as I said, are multiple thousand of cores in processing of the sessions of this data, of all this stuff in place. What those companies coming from the US like a lot is to have a black box that they take from the shelf. And this is also what Zenuity is doing now. So we want 4 petaflops of performance, just provided. So we are shipping the single IRI box, having everything that's needed to run this software stack. Whatever you apply to this DGX, it's up to you. Whatever method you want to use, it's up to you. But you have a fixed performance and capacity guarantee running over here. Now, because we have created this block, we have become a reference architecture for the thing called meta supercomputing cluster. Now imagine 16 terabytes per second of processing power. So whatever Zuckerberg is constructing currently, we haven't disappointed him years ago, creating FlashBlade for this particular use case. Now meta supercomputer is basically referenced on pure storage. For this reason and another, we are building solutions from scratch. We are only 14 years old as a company. We have enthusiasts in place doing exactly this what you guys do. So we create software, we create codes, and we promote those solutions towards the customers or the business worldwide. And whether we agree or not, we inherit the standards from beyond the ocean, from with some delay or not, but this is what we do mostly. So these guys setting the standards for us and us cooperating with this is actually supporting this happening, not the other way around. So we don't need to be arrogant. We're going to be killing those dinosaurs. You can trust in Pure. We can talk software to you at any point in time. And if anything out of this interest made sense to you, or you want to hear more, tomorrow we will be doing a workshop session about portals. And this is maybe more interesting as well, because this is exactly about containers, Kubernetes containers, running on any cloud, multi-cloud in terms of interoperability and data management, like I have described it for the software stacks before. This just going to be for container services and container data in this regard. So in the meantime, you can visit on the booth. And my one last comment, although I'm going to finish before time, so it might be good news, is that something that I'm Polish, so I'm Eastern European. But the comment I've been always making on in Eastern Europe ever since I worked for NetApp, different companies, and before is at whatever stage of your career you are currently, please remember you are very relevant. We are not the edge of the world. We are not disconnected from the Silicon Valley and all these companies that create standards. We actually make those companies because of our quality, our skills, and our engagement toward IT technology. So basically, yeah, they provide standards, but you guys create them. So pick up the most from this conference, choose the path, follow it, be best at it, and we're going to keep being the leaders in all those IT competitions. Do you have any questions? The question, why the hell are you here, is answered. So if there's any other, go ahead. If not, happy to see you at our booth and tomorrow at the workshop. Enjoy your Infobip and see you at the after party.